In this video, I want to talk to you about one of the most surprising things that I found when I became a strength coach and started specializing in things like mobility and becoming more resilient in your body through mindful, slow strength training. And this is something that is so important for anyone who is on a path of healing past trauma. Because when it comes to strength training and resilience training and exercise in general, it has to do with the nervous system. In order to become strong over time and resilient over time, our bodies, we have to put stress on our bodies and our nervous systems in order for our bodies then to repair and then become stronger and more resilient. Now, for me, one of the things that I found the most empowering and the most surprising things that happened on my journey was that becoming a strength coach and then through my own kind of fitness journey, if you will, that's where I came home to my body. And I started strength training and movement because I was so mentally unwell. I suffered with depression. I had bipolar type 2 diagnosis, anxiety, and addiction to many different substances. And nothing was really, giving me the exact answer of what it was I had. Like there are all these diagnoses and stuff like that. And I was aware that I had emotional trauma, but no one kind of taught me that it is possible to heal emotional trauma without going into needing to diagnose and needing to medicate and all these different things. Very naturally, I got on a path of holistic healing through going to the gym and through starting to feel and be in my body through running and exercise and different practices that helped me be in my body, right? And it was interesting because even with my background in psychology, it was something in me that said, we have to get into the body. This yes, that psychology is really important. Studying psychology is really important. But something in me was like, nope, we want to go on the path of coaching and go on the path of coaching through strength training and movement and being in the body, because it was something that I so sorely needed for my own healing of my emotional trauma. And what was really interesting, many, many years later now, my symptoms of mental health issues and mood destabilization and all these different symptoms I really struggled with and took medication for have disappeared. I'm not on medication anymore. Just have to preface this by saying that this isn't medical advice for anyone, just saying that there is a lot of possibility when we open up to more holistic ways of healing and seeing ourselves as a whole system that needs support and needs both healing and also building up, right? So one of the things that was so important for me was both strength training and exercise. And then also, since obviously I'm a woman, I needed to come home to my menstrual cycle and make space for understanding my hormonal cycle throughout the month. Those were two really, really big pieces for me. And what I've come to understand on that path is that the healing and the emotional healing that I've had to do as well from the trauma I experienced in my past from attachment wounding is very similar to strength training and to exercise. But there are some slight distinctions there that are important to take into account, because a lot of people will think strength training and exercise, they actually feel resistance to it because they might have experienced stress in their bodies or a trauma from the past, which then makes them feel like putting on stress in their bodies feels really unsafe. So exercise can heighten the stimulus response and heighten kind of the sensations in the body that feel kind of scary and can elicit kind of fear when it's something that so it's something that feels really uncomfortable. So people resist it, but it's through when we do training that is more somatic based, more mindful, more present with our bodies as we're doing these different practices and teaching our bodies to become strong and resilient over time through lifting weights and through doing mobility practices that aren't just like rushing through the movements and that are kind of more in that heightened stimulus, like just train, kind of like maybe we kind of see sometimes when we're in the gym. We might see that people are kind of in that space of go hard. And that is a little bit more of a sympathetic side of the nervous system that if we've experienced trauma and emotional trauma, we might actually need to take a step back and learn how to rest and take things really slow and to come into our bodies in a slow way. But that doesn't mean that we need to totally cut out exercise and strength training. It just means that our bodies might have been really stressed out from things in the past that, or from even just like the world that we live in. Everything is kind of heightened and fast, and it's kind of how society is. Our bodies might then need to actually learn how to rest and feel safe in resting. And that might be the primary thing we have to focus on. And this is why it's so important to be individual with everyone's treatment and everyone's programming and everyone's healing journey, right? And it's not just one size fits all. It depends on very much your own past and your own history and what your body's needs are. So when we're taking a holistic approach to someone's healing and to someone's rebuilding growth, we are taking into account both the physical, we're taking account the emotional, the nervous system, the mental, all these different things that need to be addressed in order for us to have a whole picture of the whole human. And we need to understand where the person is. And that's when I say where the person is do they have a baseline of unsafety in the body? Do they have a baseline of feeling scared or feeling, not scared necessarily, but an anxiety, stress, chronic stress perhaps from things that have happened in the past or from stressful life? And if that's the case, then we need to dial down. We need to slow down. We need to do practices that help us be in our body in a mindful, slow way so that our bodies can heal and feel more safe with resting, especially if we felt that that was unsafe in the past. And then we start applying things like strength training and mobility, and that can happen kind of in conjunction as well. But I'm going on this, talking about these things, why it's so important, because when we're building strength and we're becoming more movable and flexible in our bodies, we're working with our nervous system capacity, which is why it's so similar. Physical training is so similar to emotional healing and building emotional resilience. Because when we physically train and we become stronger, and we do it in a mindful, slower way, not just rushing through and only doing sympathetic, kind of heightened stimulus, go, hit classes, high intensity, but we're doing it in a slower way where we're really paying attention to the nuances and the details of the body when we're going through different movements. That is where our nervous system and our brain will start feeling it's safe to feel stress. And the body also starts trusting that we're going to rest and restore after we've done the movement and the training, and that we're not going to keep go. So our bodies will actually be able to restore and rest and then rebuild after we've had that stress response, or put that stress response through the training practice that we do. And then again, how that relates to emotional healing is that through our nervous systems, or teaching our nervous systems that it's safe to be in our bodies and safe to feel our emotions. Because what happens with emotional trauma is very often is that we feel really, really unsafe with being with certain emotions. Like our bodies very intelligently learn to shut off certain emotions in our bodies that then made it so when we're adult, especially if this happened, depending on what we experienced in childhood, but if we, earlier in life, if we shut off those emotional responses in order to stay safe, in order to protect ourselves, in order to be in connection with other people, then we're likely to not feel our emotions very well. We're likely to not be very connected to them. And through emotional healing, that is when we start learning and reteaching our bodies to feel safe with feeling emotions. And that again also happens through slowness. Teaching our nervous system and our brains that it's safe to feel the sensations of sadness, of anger, of grief, of shame, and building the tolerance for it in our bodies so we know how to regulate ourselves through those emotions and teach our bodies how to let these emotional experiences pass through so that we can heal. One thing that Gabor Mate says, who is a physician from Canada, really famous within the trauma healing space, is that the Western medicine system, they've kind of taught to heal symptoms, right? Or that's not even heal, but like to treat symptoms. Everything has to do with treating symptoms, taking medication, fixing these symptoms without looking at the root cause of things. But it's through, how healing actually happens, he says, is through going into the roots of where the symptoms are coming from and then learning how to hold that and learning how to hold that pain. And that is our nervous system learning, and our bodies and our awareness learning to hold pain within ourselves so that we can let it pass through, so that our nervous system can feel safe to release those deeper seated emotions that might have been repressed or pushed down somewhere in our unconscious mind and in our bodies, right? It is through teaching our nervous systems that it's safe to be with what is, to be with the emotions, to be with discomfort, to be with shame, and to be with those parts of ourselves that might have just felt disconnected someplace in their past, and learning to reconnect with them so that their experiences can be healed, and therefore we are healed. And again, it comes back, I come back to the physical training piece, and I just want to, really restate this, the importance of training being something that's building up, or it's both healing and building up, not just a rush through, not just a quick hit or a quick fix. It's something that we can do that will teach our bodies to become stronger and better movable and more mobile over time through more mindful movement. And I'm likely to be opening up a program around this in the future. So stay tuned for that if that is something that you're curious about. But there's this understanding that our physiology or our physical training needs to, in order for us to feel strong and mobile later in life, we need to be able to be with discomfort and not just rush through our movements. Like when we go slow with different movements that has resistance, for example, a deadlift or a squat or a lunge, that is when we teach our bodies that it's safe to be with those movements and we're not just rushing through them. And that is where we then actually become stronger and more resilient over time, because also what happens when we go slower with our movements, that is where we also build mobility in our joints and our nervous systems as well. So I hope this connection is somehow clear. It's a little bit, wrapping our heads around it, because it is really all connected. And when we're looking at people, we have to look at the whole picture. And I think that a lot of people kind of go into not looking at the whole picture when it comes to the people that they see or their clients or whatever it might be. But we really have to take everything into consideration, especially when it comes to both our physical health and our emotional health, as they're all really connected. So I hope that this made sense. If there's anything that landed for you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you're curious about a consultation with me, I do free consultations to see if work together would be something for you. I focus on emotional healing first and foremost, but also the physical aspects, the holistic picture of who we are. And usually, often, our emotional healing has to do with somatic practices and awarenesses that we need to cultivate and build in order for us to release the old and let go of old stagnant stuff that might be still in our bodies and in our systems. And then also from that space of rooting out what's old and healing what's old, healing our roots essentially, that we then can build on top of that. We can become stronger, and we become more grounded, and we become more strong in our entire system and resilient in our entire system. So with that, I will end this video, and I will drop all my information below. And I'm just wishing you so much well on your own journey.